Alright, so we're going to talk about this Cody Balmer round 2. This is part 2. Okay. I've been researching it. I had my gut reaction. I told Nancy Mace, and I said, this doesn't sound right to me, right? They sentenced this guy 25 to 50 years for arson and property damage, whatever, burglary, whatever. He damaged Josh Shapiro's mansion, and he's lit something on fire. But to me, if you didn't actually commit a physical assault or a kidnapping or a murder, 25 years to 50 years is what a lot of people have gotten for murder charges. Whether they charge him with manslaughter, I don't know, because he didn't actually slaughter anyone. But that's what I'm wondering. The judge I just was looking into is Dale Klein in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. I see the PA Spotlight website has a pretty informative article about the guy's background. He did do 8 years in the service, it said, from 2004 to 2012. It says he was a mechanic, and it said after that he was employed as a welder. His crime background, he had the charge I mentioned in part 1, it was assault with his wife and his children, and apparently the incident, he told the cops he had been on medication. Apparently he had been on medication that was bad medication and made him experience different behavior, but he had apparently gotten suicidal and ate a whole bottle of pills. This is mentioned in the same paragraph with the incident where it says he had bit his wife. He bit his wife. It doesn't say the extent of anything towards the children, so I'm assuming it's not that bad. If they didn't mention it, he pushed the kids out of the way, or who knows, because it doesn't really say anything. But it was just an incident also. And if the guy really was prescribed bad pills, again, everybody gets a break once in a while. He didn't kill anybody, he didn't break her arm, he didn't, I don't know. I don't know if the bite left a physical scar or anything, and I don't know. But I've forgiven a lot of crap in the past. The point is, shit happens. But he didn't kill anybody, he didn't rape anybody, he didn't kidnap anybody. This guy was charged with 25 to 50 years in prison. I have a problem with that in general in my state and in my country, because that's too harsh of a sentence. There's a lesson in the Bible in the Old Testament days where there was a king in an area, that he put the people in prison for way too long sentences. Prison's supposed to have tenants attached to it, and it's supposed to, not everyone's supposed to be there forever. They're supposed to get reformed and released. And, if they did an offense against someone, retribution and paying them back is supposed to be involved also. That's why people have to pay fines and for damages and stuff like that. If they stole something, they're supposed to pay the person for it and whatever. 25, 50 years. Here's the thing is, if it was a normal governor who was actually not a cheater governor and a satanic loser, wacko, extremist, Dem scumbag, Obama, Biden, P. Diddy, Meek Mill's circle, who knows who else his friends are, but those are all criminal, shady individuals. P. Diddy, I consider him like a Black Freddy Krueger. I think there's a lot of stuff. I'm going to look into his judge soon, too, and a little deeper. The thing is, his judge is obviously shady. His sentence is too low. P. Diddy, they just gave him a, 4.5-year sentencing? There's going to have to be a retrial for that. But this other guy got too long of a sentence, and I think he needs a retrial. I definitely question this Dale Klein person in Dauphin County. I would encourage other people to start questioning him, too. Maybe looking into things a little, I think maybe people want to start looking at some people's more interactions, indictments, banking records, people cheating state elections, Governor Josh Shapiro. The thing is, if Governor Josh Shapiro didn't cheat the election and commit fraud, I would say, I'd be more prone to say, oh, well, that's a harsh sentence. But if it was like a good governor who wasn't a fraud, but this guy is a scumbag, and I think this guy needed a harsh warning. I think he needs to be ripped out of his mansion and put in prison, is actually what needs to happen. So it's too bad this guy didn't just go in with the zip ties and actually find him, and instead of committing all these other crimes to screw himself over, if he had just zip tied him, citizens arrest him and delivered him to the police station with a note on him and threw him out of a van and said he committed fraud, on the election. Here you go. Our citizens arrested him. That would have been better off. I mean, nobody wants to, like, in my head, I'm thinking, I would love to do that. But I don't want to go to prison and have a crooked judge who's in with the pedophile molesters and the Chinese Mexicans and the crooked, oxycodone family with all their other weird tentacles and the B system and the UN and the CDC. They all work together. They all operate terror, crime, junkie programming. They want to make us all dead junkies, prostitutes, slaves. They all want the same thing. They're all the same type of wicked people. No good person of God like me is ever going to do that to people, because I would rather shoot myself than lose my integrity. Alright? Those people don't think like me. They don't give a fuck. They would try to put you, your kids, in bondage, and they wouldn't give you a paycheck if they could get away with it. If they could get away with it, putting us into total slavery, they would. They'd keep them and all their shit pig party freak show pedophiles with their sitting in their diapers with P. Diddy and Oprah and their little kids running around that they're getting molested and killed in the tunnels or whatever. They'd keep that going and keep some of themselves free, but they'd say, oh, the rest of you, let's beat you down into submission and bondage, we'll rape and beat you and put you into bewilderment. They still try to do this to people. Drugs is part of their MKUltra programming of that. They think if they can drug you and make you not dependable and confused or this or that, oh no, you're lazy, you're the drug addict, they have a formula of this. People who are on drugs better see that and just get off the drugs. Like, I stopped drinking years ago, and that's why I realized they were trying to play games with me. I said, oh, I see. I actually hate drinking. I actually hate sinning. So I said, I'm staying away from the bars, all these people that get involved with this and that. If they want to play a blame game, they want to act stupid, like irresponsible people. You guys want to worship sodomite music and movie companies and waste all your life sitting there being entertained by pedophiles and cannibals. I don't need that shit. I go walk in the woods, I fucking chill, I get my cup of coffee. Look, I keep the peace. The thing is, this guy I don't think should be in prison for more than 5 years. Absolutely. I would say he maybe could be in a mental health program for 6 months to a year. Maybe add maybe 2 to 3 years of probation afterwards, keep an eye on him. Maybe even a few years of prison and then a year house arrest at the end or something, I don't know. But I don't think he killed anyone, and I think that he should be not in prison for decades upon decades. It's like decades upon decades, Maybe just 2.5 decades. That's not fair, that's not justice, that's too long of a sentence, it's too harsh of a sentence. If this guy really wanted to kill Josh Shapiro, I'm sure he could have done it. If he spazzed out on a bottle of pills or bad prescription and went and did damage to his home, maybe it was just a weird incident. Maybe he wasn't even that much of a threat. The guy was on pills. He looks like he's not that big of a guy. He kind of looks like a snaky kind of meth head guy that you could possibly just knock over. Possibly. I know if they're mad, they'll be, you might deal with a snake hissing at you real hard, but is this guy really a dangerous threat to the society, to the criminal? Does he just need his medication fixed? He worked for the military for 8 years. He was a welder. He looked like he was functioning in society pretty much. Now here's the other shady thing. He said that Joe Biden owed him $2,000 that he gave him for his election campaign, or a favor. So right there, they didn't charge him for committing illegal favors with Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden is dead and has been dead since his first year in presidency. The rest of it was the Biden stunt double. They don't want to talk about that. Maybe Dale Klein doesn't want to talk about that. Maybe Josh Shapiro doesn't want to talk about that. Josh Shapiro doesn't want to talk about his own fraud becoming governor. And remember, he was the crooked AG of crack, pedophile, MKUltra, every horrible thing in Philadelphia with their school, with the Temple hospital that over the years has an insane amount of medical murder, malpractice, overdosing babies and little children to death. Look up their malpractices. Most of the time, people just, some of them don't ever get fired. We fired 2 of the doctors, but 6 were involved. We fired a few of the nurses and a doctor, but there were 6 or 7 people involved in this case. They all knew. They're like satanically together, like killing children in the hospital at the Temple. for years. You can look it up. Look it up. You know, this same place has the NIH shit going on, torturing animals, serial killer hobbies. Serial killers like to torture animals. This isn't real science. Okay? I figured this all out. You got the Scientologists in Philadelphia with their Scientology crap, these UFO groups, all this satanic whack job, false gods bullshit. Alright? Then we already talked about the Iglesias, Pentecostals, and they're a Vatican offshoot with the Mexicans and the Muertes cults and the drugs and the child pimping, rape houses and the trap houses, the MK Ultra black houses, green houses, red houses, yellow houses, human trafficking, yellow houses, crack houses, trap houses, kids all over the place, all up and down from Allegheny and Kensington, past Tioga, Russell, G Street, all around there. You know, you got the kids on the alcohol street with the little corner store. They're all the black kids are being stored in that block. If you look down the street, it looks like some fucking Peter Pan Never Neverland shit, but it's like the opposite inversion, like an Antichrist, like P. Diddy version. I would walk by that street and look down at all these black kids hanging out the windows like a pirate ship. You know? Oh, whose kids are those? Are those kids even going to school? I don't see a lot of kids around here going to school. There's a school on the corner. Oh, there's Spanish Fly Guys playing the song on full blast. This is how they used to try to fuck with everyone's head. This is their little chaos, bitch bastard, witch bastard noise shit that they do. They call it soul fracking. They just try to terrorize you with noise. They would play this song that was like, I just want to fuck you. And I would be in my house up the block. I said, I could hear the shit. I said, there's a little kid's elementary school there, a tiny baby elementary school. Oh, then there's Iglesia Pentecostal, where they're parked in front of. There's a bodega across the street. The other corner, I don't think anything's there. It might just be a house or something. And then you got child molesters and kids and crack and all this all up and down the blocks. All different positioned houses. You know, and the MK Ultra, the relay stations going, this and that and the other. There's some major problems. Okay, I wondered if these kids are being used as disposables for the CIA or John Podesta's walnut sauce or Hillary Clinton's walnut sauce. I am actually concerned. Unlike Nancy Pelosi and them who pretend to want to protect the little black kids in the ghetto, I actually really wanted to protect not just the black kids in the ghetto, but all the kids in the ghetto. Okay? This shit is sick. These people molested my fucking head and ears, just me hearing all this sick shit that was going on in this neighborhood, in this city. And I thought little children are amongst us. I said, while I lived there, these children should be like quarantined out of this neighborhood. I said, this is terrorist village. Kids shouldn't be allowed in this neighborhood. There shouldn't even be a school there. They're dealing drugs and raping kids, pimping forced slavery of children in a school zone. You think I'm fucking kidding? That's what was going on. I haven't lived there for like, what, 4 or 5 years maybe? But that's what was going on when I lived there. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, why would you want to attack Josh Shapiro? He was the AG while this was going on. He let this go on. Then you had Sanchez over there. You had Angel, what's his face, up on the other thing, the councilman. Hey, what are you people even doing? Are you doing your jobs? Oh, never mind all the crooked cops that also walk by this every day and they just let this go on. What are you people even doing for your jobs? Now, remember, we talked about Commissioner Frank, or whatever his name was, I saw him walking in that neighborhood in plain clothes going to a house that had kids in it, and I was suspicious of him. I wrote him a letter. He quit the next week. He stepped down. Maybe it got too personal. I saw there was a black guy from South Philly posting pictures of him at the same time. I said, what's this about? I looked this up. I did find this black guy had some pictures of him, of the old police commissioner sitting in a black SUV with a little baby. Yeah, like a child, like tiny child. And I don't know if the black people from South Philly that are into extortion and blackmail and corruption had him maybe being extorted. But that sounds about Joe Biden's steez. And Josh Shapiro is in with P. Diddy, that's his steez. You know, P. Diddy thought he would, I don't know, you would think he is, because Meek Mills was very protected in Philadelphia, and they always had him on TV getting awards. With Josh Shapiro is on the news, and here's Meek Mills again and again and again. I said, why is Meek Mills they're pretending he's some type of hero for these